We want to take a look at what y'all got here because we got Texas, Georgia on tap. We got Tennessee, Alabama on tap. We've got some really good football games. Indiana, Nebraska is on tap. But a couple of things that I wrote down in the rundown ahead of this is, outside of Texas don't want to see Dylan Gabriel, I'm also looking and going, when are we going to see the best Texas? Like, that's where else I want to get with this. I will admit the number one team in the country has not played to its potential, to its pinnacle. They won a game 34-3 where they weren't really great offensively, but they didn't have to be. They were really good defensively. Like, Pete Kwiatkowski is that dude. As a matter of fact, as I'm looking at my Broyles Award top 5 right now, which we'll get to a little bit later in the day, I've got a hard time not seeing Pete Kwiatkowski as my number one right now for what they have been able to do defensively against most teams. Have they played a good offensive team yet? No. No, they have not. Not even a little bit. And I think that's what we want to see from Georgia. I want to see Carson Beck slinging it. I want to see Trevor Etienne running it. I would like to see what they do against a top 10 opponent with a top 10 scoring offense, or capable of being a top 10 scoring offense. After that, we can revisit whether or not Texas is rounding into form. However, Ohio State hadn't yet played to its pinnacle till it got to this game against Oregon, where I thought that they played some of the best football that they played all year. Did they have some screw-ups? Yeah. They lost a couple of offensive linemen. Good luck with that. That was another part of this. I'm sure Buckeye fans are loud about it, and I would be loud about it as well, man. We're down 2 starters on the offensive line. We're throwing guys out there that still don't know what they're doing like others. Like losing Josh Simmons is a big deal. Losing Integra Teshbola is a big deal. That said, I still thought they were good, and I still thought that it came down to what the skill players were doing, let alone what the line was doing. I watched Travion Henderson try to bounce it out and get stopped. I saw Quinshon Judkins get stopped. I saw a weird water boy kick. Remember that? Where homie said, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And then he nailed that dude. When that happened, I was like, they planned this. They had to. You had to have seen that happen maybe by accident in practice and be like, yo, can you do that like on purpose? And then when he demonstrates that he could do it on purpose, yeah, all right, he is absolutely going to do it. Because when are you going to be looking for that? It's like catching a heater into your side when you're not looking at it. Like if somebody wants to throw at you and you're not ready for it, you're not getting out of the way at 99. It's just not happening, right? I think that's what happened. And you were able to steal a possession. And every time you can steal a possession, it's less about, for me, whether or not you're going to score points on that possession. You need to. But what you are also doing is limiting the number of possessions that your opponent can get, which limits the number of points they can score. Can't score if you ain't got the ball, right? I really was enjoying how this game was playing out. And I also don't always agree with Dan Lanning when he goes for 4th down, but I always love it when he goes for 4th down because I get to watch drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dan Lanning be out there hitting on 19, talking about, I see a deuce coming. I see a deuce coming. And when they get stopped, all right, we got stopped. And you know what? He'll go into the postgame and say, I'm a big boy. I made that decision. We didn't get it. That's okay. We'll do it again the next time. At some point, do I think they're going to lose a football game if that keeps happening? Yeah, because that happened last year. But right now, Will Stein has been calling outstanding football. Did it with Bo Nix. He's done it with Dylan Gabriel. He loves the transfer quarterback from an SEC school, Auburn, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I understand, is a stretch there, Big 12 with Dylan Gabriel. But I'm enjoying this, man. I'm enjoying getting to find out who's good. Now, down the line, we don't really know. So I was looking at my top 25. I was looking at the AP top 25, and I was going through it, and there are 11 undefeated teams here. But what was more interesting to me was what the college football playoff projections were going to look like. So I do this piece for Fox every week. Like I do the Saturday night top 25, and then I do the college football playoff projections, right? That we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on, what the budget looks like and whatnot. But I was writing it down today, just getting my thoughts down. And what I usually do with this is I take my top 12 teams that are ranked, and then I see which one of those is in a Power 4 conference, which means you're probably going to be one of the highest ranked Group of 5 or highest ranked conference champions. You get the bye. And then we go from there. So my top 12 goes Oregon, Texas, Miami, Iowa State, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Clemson, BYU, LSU, Tennessee, Boise State for the projection, right? Do that again. College football playoff projection, 1 through 12 seeded by me. Oregon, Texas, Miami, Iowa State, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Clemson, BYU, LSU, Tennessee, Boise State. So four highest ranked group of Power 4 champions. So we got Oregon for the Big Ten, we got Texas for the SEC, we got Miami for the ACC, we got Iowa State for the Big 12. Then the highest ranked group of 5 champion, Boise State, and then we're talking about who are the other 6 teams that are among the best 12. Okay, that's when this starts to get just a little bit more intriguing, if you will. So right now, what would happen is Oregon would get a bye, and then they would get the winner of the 8-9 game. Ohio State would get a bye, and then they would get the winner of the 7-10 game. Miami would get a bye, and then they would get the winner of the 6-11 game. And Iowa State would get a bye, and they get the winner of the 5-12 matchup. And I've been saying this, and I will continue to say this. You want to be the 5 seed in this year's college football playoff. You absolutely, positively want to be the 5 seed. I genuinely wish that if you were the number 1 seed, you get the chance to trade down. I would love to see that, because this year, you get to host a playoff game on campus. It is going to be the hottest ticket in the entire world. For our sport to have that is going to change the landscape, man. We've never had playoff football on campus. It's always been at a neutral site, and frankly, not all the neutral sites are great. I know everybody seems to like the bowl system, but I would much rather play the national championship game as the home team at my stadium than I would want to play it on a neutral site. I don't give a damn what the NFL is doing, or even what high school is doing. I want to play in front of my fans at my stadium, and we'll give you half, just like any other game. It's like any other game. I would love to see that. That said, the reason I would want to be the 5 seed is, check this out, man. You're going to play the 12 seed. So this year, it would be number 5, Ohio State, hosting number 12, Boise State. Ashton Jeanty is a monster. He's not good enough to beat Ohio State by himself. Let's just let that's a fact, okay? They got one Ashton Jeanty. Cool. They got a Quinshawn Judkins, and they got a Travion Henderson to your Ashton Jeanty, all right? And when they ain't got that, they got a Jeremiah Smith and a Mega Ibuka, and a Carnell Tate and a Brandon Ennis and a Caleb Downs and down the line, dog. So you get that game, and then you win that game. Who are you going to play? You're going to play the weakest of the 4 highest ranked Power 4 champions. You're going to play Iowa State. You're going to play Iowa State on a neutral site. So you're going to stop a mud hole in Iowa State, and then you'll play the number 1 team in the country, but after they've already played a game, and that bye week no longer matters, man. Bye weeks only matter for the next game, not the next 2. I really would love to be the 5 seed, okay? So, again, Ohio State, I think in the catbird seat at number 5, if that's the way it goes. Now, I'm projecting them at 5 because they lost to Oregon, and the way that the rankings work, you are going to act as if somebody who hasn't lost won't lose, right? That said, you get Ohio State losing to Oregon, but they'd be in the 5 seed. Then you get number 6 Penn State versus number 11 Tennessee. Could be a good football game, but I think that Tennessee's got the measure of a Penn State. I don't think Penn State's that good. You needed 17 catches and 224 yards out of Tyler Warren to beat USC in overtime. USC is not good. They are 3-3. They do not look like they know what they are doing. Penn State needed help. Drew Allard doesn't look good. And Lord help them if they can't run the football, because then Penn State is not a top 10 team. So you get Tennessee versus Penn State. And then you get Georgia versus LSU. I think that's a fun game, but I think most people right now are going to pick Georgia to win that game. Garrett Nussmeier got my whole heart. I love watching that dude play football. Matter of fact, LSU quarterbacks, last three LSU starting quarterbacks, been a lot of fun, man. Joe Burrow, right? To Jaden Daniels, to now Garrett Nussmeier. All those dudes are box office. They love playing for LSU. They love playing quarterback, and they are going to sling it. Sling, period, it, period. That is what they're going to do. Garrett Nussmeier said, hey, Kyron Lacey, you go deep, and I'll hit you, and we're going to rack this thing up in overtime. 25 yards off the snap. We out here, right? See ya, Ole Miss. You're no longer in the college football playoff conversation. Thanks to us, we're going to take that spot in the playoff against Georgia. And then, given what Georgia showed against Alabama, if you make it a high-scoring game, you can win. You got to make it a high-scoring game, though. Or if you make it a low-scoring game and you're not Mark Stoops and you don't give the ball back to Georgia, you could probably win. Remember, Kentucky lost 14-13. That would be, I think, a game people pick Georgia, but the line would be close and be a good game, right? Then you get Clemson versus BYU. I think the Clemson that we're seeing now is the Clemson that we expected to see at the start of the season. They lose that game 34-3. By the way, that score popping up again, right? Still, they're beating the hell out of everybody else they've played. They've scored 40 or more in 4 out of their last 5 contests. And the one that they didn't, they scored 29 against Florida State team that they beat, right? They put up 40. Cade Klubnik all of a sudden looks like the kind of guy that we thought he could be. And Garrett Riley's offense is starting to function the way that we thought it would function when Dabo Swinney went out to hire him. That said, they still got the one loss, right? So that's why they're in the spot. They'll have to contend with a Miami team that can get it done, Mario Cristobal notwithstanding, and a Pitt team that looks good. Like, Cade Bell has been a real game changer for Pat Narduzzi, man. He handed that dude the keys to the offense, and they are scoring. They're averaging damn near 41 a game. They're putting up damn near 500 yards a game, which is what he was doing at the FCS level. But to do that with Eli Holstein, who is probably going to go for 44,000 all-purpose yards, or I should say total yards, running and passing, probably 36 TDs, close to 40 TDs, it's not too shabby. So in the ACC, the top looks pretty good, right? Miami, Clemson, Pitt. In the Big Ten, the top looks like, really? Because Oregon won, cool, we got that, right? Then you're talking about Penn State being undefeated, Indiana being undefeated. And then you want to talk about Ohio State. I think most people are going to pick Ohio State to beat Indiana or Penn State, right? That's why I rank Ohio State ahead of Penn State. I don't think that Penn State is a good football team. I still think that Ohio State is a very good football team. Indiana has an opportunity to get to 7-0 against Nebraska later this weekend, though. And they could get themselves into this discussion about the college football playoff quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then we're going to have to start saying really importantly nice things about Indiana. And that means that we're all going to have to go look up nice things to say about Indiana, because when have we ever had to do that? I mean, flat out, we have not had to say nice things about Indiana since 2020. And we haven't had to say nice things about Vanderbilt since James Franklin was head coach there, damn near a decade plus, right? Now we're in a spot where Nebraska, who we've wanted to be good for years, has an opportunity to take back what we think they should already have with a win against Indiana this weekend to get to 6-1, which would make them a team that goes bowling for the first time since 2016. I'm excited about that. And then on the bubble, we have some interesting teams. So as I was writing this down, on the bubble is looking like, okay, which SEC or Big Ten team or independent team or group of 5 team could pick off someone else who falters. So highest ranked group of 5 champion is already an interesting one. If Boise State loses to UNLV, which is not out of the realm of possibility, you're talking about Liberty probably moving up into that spot or close to it, because Liberty's undefeated. And they're not getting many top 25 votes because we all remember what Oregon did to them in the Fiesta Bowl. We don't really put into a lot into Liberty going undefeated anymore. That sucks, but it's true, right? They're going to have to wait for Boise State to take a loss because